Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
As you probably know, last week, President Trump released his proposed budget.
This is the president's FY 2018 budget.
During the press conference, there were heated questions about cuts to Medicaid, border wall spending.
You don't automatically, magically build a wall in the middle of nowhere. You have to build a road.
You know, like the big headline-y political stuff. But after all that, at the very end, it veers into the arcane, into the super geeky territory, my favorite territory, obviously. And Mick Mulvaney gets this question.
I'll take the last question. Yes, ma'am.
Energy question for you.
Okay.
I wanted to ask about the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
Yeah.
And the proposal to sell off.
The Strategic Petroleum Reserve. This is an obscure enough reference that Mulvaney, the budget director, has to translate what this reporter is talking about to everybody else in the room.
What she's talking about is we propose to reduce the size of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which was put in place back in the 1970s.
Okay, so here it is. A giant stash of crude oil that our government keeps around for a rainy day. And it turns out our government keeps lots of stashes like this. Nations, like people, store stuff away. And today, we're rummaging through the nation's attic. We're sifting through the boxes to find out what the country collects and why. And what happens when nations, like people, look at some of those collections and ask themselves, wait, why was I saving all this stuff again? I'm Flora Lichtman. This is Every Little Thing from Gimlet Media. Okay, let's start with the stash mentioned in the president's press conference.
It's a pretty wonky, obscure issue. Thank you for finding me.
That's Jennifer Harris from the Council on Foreign Relations. She researches energy and the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is also sometimes called the SPRO.
Some people just say SPR, and other people say SPRO.
Can you describe what it is?
Sure. It is just shy of 700 million barrels of crude oil that we have stashed in salt caverns beneath Texas and Louisiana.
The oil is buried specifically in 60 human-made caverns along the Texas and Louisiana coast. So they're carved out of geologic formations called salt domes. Water is injected into the salt dome. The water dissolves the salt. The brine is pumped out, and the crude oil is pumped in. So crude oil is the stuff that we refine into gasoline and petrochemical products, like plastics, and also hand sanitizer and military combat boots. So why do we have 700 million barrels of crude oil under Louisiana and Texas?
This thing was established by Congress in the mid-1970s in response to the Arab oil embargo in sort of 1973-74 as a way to insulate the United States from the economic harms of crude oil supply disruption.
So that's when we have gas lines. Am I thinking of the right time?
Exactly.
It was after that the U.S. created the reserve?
Correct. The U.S. sort of decided that we were not going to be, pardon the pun, sort of put over the barrel by governments of major oil exporting countries any longer. And the simplest way to do that was to come up with reserves of our own that could help mitigate these supply disruptions.
Right. So I guess if you have your own big stockpile of oil, it's harder for another country to hold oil over your head.
That is the theory of the thing, yes.
The SPRO holds enough oil to cover America's oil use for about 150 days. And 150 days is a lot by SPRO standards. Other countries have SPROs, including the UK, France, Japan, and Australia. China and India are building theirs up. But ours is the biggest in the world. $50 billion worth of oil.
That's the U.S.'s second largest investment in energy security behind our military footprint in oil-producing regions. And so this is a non-trivial asset.
By the way, I really like thinking about what a trivial national asset might be.
A lot of plates.
A China collection?
Yes, that's exactly what I would describe as trivial. Yeah.
I'm here with producer Christine Driscoll. And after hearing about the Spro, we started to wonder, what else is our government stashing? So I asked Christine to look into it. And what did you find?
Yeah, let's start with the reserves that are in the Spro family. There are 1 million barrels of gasoline stashed in Boston, New York Harbor, and South Portland, Maine. And this reserve was created after Hurricane Sandy.
Okay.
And then, somewhat along the same lines, there's 1 million barrels of home heating oil stored in Groton, Connecticut, Port Reading, New Jersey, and Revere, Massachusetts. And it has only been used once after Superstorm Sandy.
Again, Superstorm Sandy.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sensing a theme. It's like bad things happen and reserves are intended to help us get through them.
Right. This next one somewhat breaks the pattern. There are several hundred tons of enriched uranium, which is a component for nuclear bombs, stored in a concrete and steel building in Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
I'd never thought about that, how hard it might be to design a kind of regular building to store enriched uranium.
If you see the picture of the building online, looks like a suburban dentist's office. Like, it just looks like a strip mall.
Are there other reserves?
Yes. This one is more mysterious. Weirdly, the nuclear facility has a lot of information available. But the CDC also has a medicine stockpile in undisclosed warehouses and mostly with undisclosed contents.
Why?
Because, in the words of one expert, if you know what's in it, you know what's not in it. And you could plan your attack accordingly.
Do they describe what it's for at all?
It is for emergencies broadly. So it was specifically created in 1999 to protect against anthrax and other bioterrorism.
Are there any others?
I saved the best for last. This is my favorite stockpile. It is the National Defense Stockpile of $1.3 billion worth of precious materials that might be needed for any kind of military application. And what I love about it is that they just come right out and call it a stockpile. They do not dress it up and call it a reserve. You know exactly what it is when you hear about it.
As stewards of the National Defense Stockpile,
they also found the time to create a robust YouTube presence.
Diamonds, rubies, sapphires, gold, silver.
Where
and
is
bronze.
it?
It's all around us. They store all of these like raw materials in warehouses or depots. There's one in Scotia, New York. There's one in Hammond, Indiana, Youngstown, Ohio, and Hawthorne, Nevada.
And what would you find in these warehouses?
Well, there's ore, which as far as raw materials go, it doesn't really get rawer than that. And then there's other things which you may never have heard of, things like germanium, which is my favorite. It is a semi-metal number 32 on the periodic table, and that is used for solar cells on satellites and aircraft.
Cool. So why is it your favorite?
So it looks wild. They keep it in a crystal formation where it looks like a giant shiny pencil that weighs about 150 pounds and is
What?
very, very long. Yes.
Wow, it's huge.
Yes. And someone I talked to compared it to like a big tube of bologna where you just slice off wafers exactly in the shape that you need.
Wafers that end up on these satellites. So it's like baloney-powered satellites.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I totally get why it's your favorite. Thank you. These reserves remind me of the country's battery drawer or the backup Band-Aids. They're kind of exactly what you'd expect to find in the government's house. But not everything the government stashes is like that. Out near Amarillo, Texas, the government has another stash.
Okay, let me see if I can paint a visual picture.
This is Sam Burton. He works for the Bureau of Land Management, and he is the field manager in charge of this reserve.
It would be an open, rolling prairie with mesquite trees and very few people out there. It's a fairly remote area, so you'd have a lot of wildlife and even wildflowers that would be growing out on the reserve. It's very peaceful. It's out in the middle of nowhere.
Deep under that prairie, in between layers of rock, is the world's biggest stash of helium.
Definitely, it gets some eyebrows. Folks say, helium reserve? What are you talking about?
The government is storing 9 billion cubic feet. That's like 45,000 blimps worth of helium.
It's like a year and a half of global use.
When you tell people that you're managing a helium reserve, what's the reaction that you most often get?
Well, the first thing most folks think about, of course, is party balloons. And then they go from party balloons to, sounding like a duck, making a duck-like sound with your voice. So that's typically the kind of reaction I get.
Which is a reasonable reaction. So why does our government have this giant stash? It started in World War I.
The War Department wanted to have this non-flammable gas for their blimps, and they started working on this program in 1917. It was used for the Navy's airships and also for blimps that protected convoys in World War II. There were these large dirigibles, kind of like the German Hindenburg, similar, but not the same.
Helium has a big advantage over hydrogen in that it's not flammable. So in the early 1900s, the government got into the helium production business.
The current theory with helium production is wherever you have a gas pocket where it's holding natural gas, you probably will find some amount of helium in that.
Helium comes from deep within the Earth. It's made by the radioactive decay of elements like uranium and thorium, and it mostly just floats through the crust and escapes to space unless it's trapped by rocks. Certain rocks can act as helium Tupperware. The biggest helium producers are Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, and that's how the government's first helium production program ended up in Texas. Okay, fast forward to the 1960s. It's the Cold War. Airships are out, spaceships are in, and helium is right there playing a supporting role. The government doesn't so much need it for blimps, but it needs helium for rockets. So the government helium program goes from producing helium to storing helium, and the reserve is born. And over time, other uses crop up too.
If it's technological, it probably has helium somewhere in its manufacture or somewhere in the application.
Really?
Yes. Cell phones, microchip manufacturing, fiber optic cables, lasers, space exploration, aerospace materials, planes and rocketry, propellant for space, MRIs, missiles, reconnaissance blimps. It just goes on and on and on.
MRIs use the most helium in the market, 30%. It's used to keep the magnets cold in MRIs. 17% of helium is used for a market category called lifting gas, like blimps and airships. And the way that most of us interact with helium is just a tiny fraction of the market. 3% goes to entertainment uses like party balloons. After the break, it's not all fun and games. We'll talk about the fate of some of these reserves and what happens when it's time to let the collection go.
And I think that this is wrong, and I think that this is irresponsible.
Every outfit starts with a choice. What am I wearing underneath? Something comfortable? And let's be honest, something that keeps everything looking smooth. That's where Vanity Fair lingerie comes in. Their new Smoothing Wireless Bra has 4-way stretch fabric for all-over smoothing, soft, lightly lined cups for a natural shape, and no wire comfort that lasts all day. All-over smooth, all-day comfort. Vanity Fair lingerie. Find yours at Target today.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Selling your car should feel like one less thing on your list, not one more. With Carvana, it is. Just go to Carvana.com, enter your license plate or VIN, and get a real offer down to the penny. No back and forth, no surprises, just an experience you can trust. Like your offer? Accept it. Schedule pickup, and we'll come to you with a check in hand. Your car, your timeline, your terms. Visit Carvana.com to sell your car today.
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Sweetgreen. The day doesn't ask for permission. Lunch window? Gone before you saw it coming. You deserve a break that actually satisfies. Sweetgreen's new wraps have got you. Real ingredients, zero shortcuts. Everything you love in one hand. Think Green Goddess chicken, garlic aioli, crumbled bacon, corn salsa. 40 grams of protein. Made to keep up with whatever comes next. New Sweetgreen wraps hit different. Order now at order.sweetgreen.com.
This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app where you can bank, borrow, and invest. It's time to achieve your financial ambitions. Earn more on your savings with a SoFi Bank High Yield Savings Account. Ditch your higher interest credit card debt with a SoFi personal loan. Or start investing on an easy-to-use platform with SoFi Invest. Wherever you are on your financial journey, SoFi's got you covered. Learn more at SoFi.com/Spotify.
If you, like me, have a box of unattached power cords shoved somewhere in your house or a collection of CDs and no CD player, you know what questions inevitably come next. Do I need this stuff? Will I need it in the future? No collector escapes these questions, even if that collector is the United States of America and the collection is 45,000 blimps worth of helium.
The programs and regulations that have outlived their usefulness should go.
The fate of the helium reserve was sealed in 1995. Bill Clinton actually called it out in his State of the Union, and its demise got this big applause.
Getting rid of over 100 programs we do not need, like the Interstate Commerce Commission and the Helium Reserve Program.
A year later, Congress passed an act to privatize the reserve. The thinking was that we didn't need helium for military dirigibles or for a space race anymore, so supplying MRIs and scientists with helium should be private industry's problem. Plus, the government spent a bunch of money buying that helium and storing it in this underground rock Tupperware, so Congress thought they could get some of their money back by selling it off.
Okay, folks, if I could have your attention. First of all, I'd like to welcome you to Amarillo, Texas. Welcome you to this third annual crude helium auction.
The plan is to close the reserve in a couple of years, and so the helium is being sold off piece by piece, some of it in auctions.
Is this on? Okay. All right, here. Let's go on them. Right here. What do you say? Give a dollar and go. Number one. Now, number $1, $100, Now, 20.
And the auctions are delightfully well documented.
120 here, 30 here, number down, 30, 30, 120 here, number down, 30, 30, number down, about 121.
Imagine 24 people, mostly in suits. They're in a small carpeted auditorium, and they're bidding millions of dollars on helium.
All right, the next one. Got $1. Now 101. Now 2. 101 and 2.
You might have heard about the reserve already indirectly. A few years ago, there was a scare about a helium shortage. And in a complicated way, it was related to the sell-off of the reserve. The prices spiked. They later stabilized. The sell-offs continue. And the helium stockpile is slated to be out on the curb by 2021.
Okay, thank you very much. That actually concludes our auction. Thank you, James. Appreciate the assistance.
But what about the oil stash? So you know when you're looking at a pile of stuff, thinking about whether to get rid of it, and you make a maybe pile? It's like the stuff that you look at and think, I don't need this right in this moment, but will I need it in the future? That's kind of what's happening with the SPRO right now.
We think it's a responsible thing to do. It's no longer necessary. Again, go back to that perception.
Trump's budget calls for cutting the SPRO in half, which is a radical trim, $16 billion worth of sales. Whether it actually happens is up to Congress, but here's the rationale Trump's deputy, Mick Mulvaney, lays out. Today, the U.S. produces a lot of oil, and the oil market is more global than it was 40 years ago. And the argument is that the country is less vulnerable to supply shortages than we used to be.
I don't need to take this much of your money to bury it in the ground out in West Texas someplace.
It's more like Southeast Texas. Otherwise, fair point. But here's the flip side.
We call it the Strategic Petroleum Reserve for a reason. And as the name suggests, we hope never to use it.
That's Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski in 2015. We've been having this SPRO debate for years. And she's saying, you don't know what the future holds. Don't just sell it off to pay for other things.
The Strategic Petroleum Reserve is not an ATM. It is certainly not the petty cash drawer for Congress.
If you had something in your attic that you had spent 40 years collecting that was really valuable, you'd probably ask yourself, is now the time to sell? If so, am I getting a good price? Am I putting the money to good use? And Jennifer Harris, the energy expert, said that these are basically the same questions Congress should be asking.
If 700 million barrels of crude oil stashed in Texas and Louisiana is the answer, what's the question? This is right. There's a lot of money we're talking about. It's got a net worth of anywhere between $40 and $60 billion, depending on the price of oil. And I think we owe it to ourselves to sort of be thoughtful about its use.
Collections can tell you a lot about someone. I mean, sifting through somebody's attic seems very intimate. But what's neat to me about this story is that you can also learn a lot about our country by looking at our government reserves. Some of our reserves are reminders of our traumas, like world wars and gas lines, hurricanes and anthrax. Other ones remind us of our milestones, like the space race. And others are about our aspirations, like the baloney-powered satellites of the future. Whatever happens with the Spro, what we do with it will be a marker of who we are, how we remember the past, and what we might imagine will happen in the future. Before we go, some listener feedback. In the show a couple weeks ago, the one about measles, a moment from the story prompted some outcry that I'd like to address head-on today. It came out of this exchange I had with Vincent Racaniello.
When you talk, you're always making an aerosol, right? Especially with the plosive sounds, the P's and everything. And these are tiny, tiny droplets. The droplets are full of virus, and those can float many, many meters away.
Well, I was just thinking, maybe this is a public health tip to tell parents not to name their kids Peter or Patricia or Paul, because they're going to get a lot more P's in their face.
That's pretty funny.
But it was not funny to everyone.
I felt sorry for the sound.
This is Lisa Davidson, a linguist at NYU. She tweeted at us. And Lisa's an expert on this, on how sounds are made. And she says P sounds are really common. 87% of languages have them.
Linguistically, right, they're great sounds. One thing that's nice about those kinds of sounds, since that sound is made with your lips, you can see them. You know exactly what sound somebody's making when you look at them. And closing your lips is actually quite an easy thing to do. So articulatorily, those sounds are early, they come first. The word for father has a P in it, right? So papa is very common.
That's amazing. Now, the suggestion that we'd get rid of P seems ridiculous.
Yes. Of all the sounds, that is not one I would want to get rid of.
So if P's are a good sound, what is a bad sound?
So, I don't want to malign any particular sound.
That's how we got into this mess.
Yeah. So here's a curious case of a sound that's kind of a combination of good and bad. So the R sound in American English is a difficult sound to make because it involves having to make a constriction in your vocal tract in 3 different places at once. You have to make a constriction at the back of your throat with the back of your tongue, a constriction behind your teeth with the front part of your tongue, and you have to round your lips. And you have to time them all of those constrictions exactly right in order for the sound to come out.
Wow.
So that's a really hard sound for kids to learn because you can't see most of what's going on there, right? You can see the lip part, but you can't see the other 2 things.
This is making me think that it's amazing that we learned to talk at all.
Yeah, I think this, I've been studying this stuff for, 25 years, and I also think that all the time.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Every Little Thing. Every Little Thing is produced by Flora Lichtman with Christine Driscoll and Gophet Mbutibwale. Our senior producer is Catherine Wells. Our editors are Devin Taylor and Alex Bloomberg. Scoring by Martin Crane. We were mixed by Dara Hirsch. Special thanks to Nicole Pasulka, Janie Shermack, Ellen Wald, Nicholas Loris, and Sophia Hayes. Wait, maybe it's not. It's wearing off. Okay.